there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks. We are going back to the beginning of the new series. That's right. We are looking at, ready for this, the end of the world. And we're going to the Ninth Doctor era. And this is actually the second episode of the series. Everything looks so fresh. Everything was so new. And, 2005. Wow.
Wow.
This is almost 20 years ago, folks.
God, that's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2005 was yesterday, folks. Yeah. That's,
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot has
it
happened
really
since
was
then.
not.
Maybe if you have a TARDIS.
Well, yeah.
So
Some
then
of
it
us
was
do.
yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Exactly. 2005 was tomorrow, Mike. Come on. And so it's going to be a fun one to talk about. And we've got the regulars here. Sadly, Melanie will not be with us tonight
Aw.
because she still does not have power after the wonderful Hurricane Milton. That's right.
Curse you, Milton!
Curse you, Milton. I hope you get your red stapler back and make everybody else happy. Come on. It's always good to, have her with us. Everyone who got caught in the path of Milton, and also Helene. Please, I hope you guys are doing okay, and you guys, are recovering or on the road to recovery. And, our thoughts are with you, and, hopefully everyone will be back and, listening. And also co-hosting and everything. We bring her on to be a co-host, and we even did a Rose episode for her. And
I know, and then she blames a natural disaster for not being
how
here.
dare she? Come on.
So irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
Some people. God, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But we have you wonderful people out there, and we're going to have a ton of fun to talk all about this one. We definitely would love to hear from you. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is always the best way to get in touch with us. Also, if you like our show and want to, find the updates every time we come out, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to do it. There's a little subscribe button down underneath on YouTube, or you know what? There's a little bell there too. You'll get an alert. Know when we are live. And also, if you're listening to the podcast still, and bless you, everybody who has been listening to us. Our numbers are doing great this year. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Always 5 stars is the best way to rate us. And also subscribe. Subscribe, as we'd like to say. Let's jump into the news. Doctor Who news. Ncuti Gatwa was on the Graham Norton show this last week, and he opened his mouth and said something I don't think the BBC was very happy with.
Shooted his mouth.
He shooted his mouth out, and he basically said they're getting ready to start filming series, his series 3, season 16 of the new series, this next spring. And funny enough, when the show went to air, that was cut out. How about that?
Whoops.
Oopsie, as they
Wasn't
like to
supposed to
say.
announce that yet.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? We knew it was going to happen, and all the haters out there were like, "No, he's not. It's not true. I've heard Disney is canceling it." It's like whatever.
No, first of all, Disney cannot cancel it.
Exactly, and it's funny because on an interview, I think it was with Julie was doing an interview, and Julie Garner, and she basically said Disney is thrilled with the response they're getting for Doctor Who. So take it for what you will, folks. Take it all with a grain of salt, or who's playing the PR game and everything. So we'll have to wait and see. And today's date is October 14th. So this means we are less than 3 months till the new Doctor Who Christmas special.
2 months and 11 days.
Exactly. I don't celebrate that holiday, so I don't pay attention to that kind of
Of
stuff.
course you do. It's Doctor Who Day.
Oh, that's true. That's
It's
true.
new.
That's what it is for me.
It's new Doctor Who Day. That's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
cause to celebrate. And we
Exactly.
get Russell T gives us presents, a big present.
A big present and a big smooch. No.
And this time we're getting a present not only from RTD, but one from one Stephen Moffat.
Yay!
Yay!
So we don't have to worry about Chibnall coal in our stocking.
That's
And-
right. And let's see, how long did that take?
4 minutes into the show, the first
That's right.
Chibnall
You
bash.
got to give the people what they want.
Exactly. They listen to us for that and everything. I'm excited though that we are getting Shooty's third season already getting ready to be filmed, but that also puts a little bit of fear into me and everything because most doctors nowadays it's 3 and out.
Yeah, I don't want him to go.
Yeah, but that's
we,
a little
we just got him.
That's a little different because most doctors lately have done 3 seasons over the course of 7 years.
True.
What I really
That's true.
what I like about this is that they're moving on this. Like Russell T is determined that there's not going to be a huge delay between seasons.
Mm-mm.
And I like hearing that because that means that there's a good chance that we could have Nishudi and them around longer because they're moving so fast. I think, over the course of if they do 3 seasons in 7 to 10 years, then yeah, that does wear on a person, I would think, an actor who's trying to get other work. So, and we've already seen that, Gatwa's opportunities have been, tenfold since he's taken the role. So we can understand that there's going to be some demands on his time. But I think he's really embraced the character and he's become a good spokesman for the show. So I'm hoping that I don't know what his contract is, if it's 3 year and up or not. So we'll hope that he renews or whatever the case and where there's more to come.
Well, I was hoping, especially because he has a ton of enthusiasm for the show as it is. And not that the others haven't, but it's been more, I think, he's even come out and said, he is not getting tired of playing the doctor, even though he's filmed already 2 seasons and 2 holiday specials for it. So, you know what? I'm hoping that means he's going to stick around for a bit. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So take
More
it
to
all.
come.
Yep. Watch this space, as we like to say.
We can hope.
Yep, exactly. It'll be very cool to see what happens. And, we're going to be watching it and hoping and, good luck with it. So there hasn't been a ton of other Doctor Who news. They've been announcing some guests for, of course, Gallifrey over in the spring and, February, spring for some people,
In the winter.
Exactly. California winter, but, so it only goes down to 70 then, type thing.
It's freezing.
So it's always a good thing. And then I know a few of the friends that I have are going to Chicago TARDIS also over Thanksgiving. So the U.S. Thanksgiving, because actually today is October 14th, like I said earlier. Happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian listeners.
Happy Thanksgiving, Canada.
Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. So, and as the Indians call it, the day they were invaded,
Yeah,
here in the United States.
Yeah.
Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Poutine turkey. Poutine turkey with cheese curd. Oh, that sounds, and gravy. That's awesome.
I don't know. That may be better than some of the side dishes I've had at family Thanksgivings.
Touche. And so it's gonna be fun to see, going to the cons and everything. I've actually thought about going back to Gallifrey because that's where Mary and I met in person for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was actually, it was a blast and we had a really good show. And, it was neat to meet other Doctor Who podcasters. It was great to meet the guests. And my favorite memory, of course, where we were at a table in the vendor room and Mary and I were like looking, ooh, second Doctor stuff. Oh, we love Doctor and Jamie stuff. This is great. Then all of a sudden, why, thank you. And we looked up and it was Frasier's table.
We've told this story a million times.
Yeah, we
But
did.
it never gets old for us.
It never does because we were like, oh, hi. We were like two little kids, like, And he was very nice.
He was awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
Fraser was extremely, extremely nice. So if you ever get a chance at a con or, if you see him in the street, say hi. He appreciates it.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course. All right, folks. I think we're going to jump into the episode review now. We are going back to the wonderful date of April 2nd, 2005. Ooh. God, that is fairly almost 20 years. It's not that far.
No.
Wow. All right. We are looking at The End of the World. And it was, of course, written by Russell T. Davies.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, somebody, some newcomer, some kid.
He just kind of came and went, didn't he?
Produced by Phil
Flash in the
Collison.
pan.
Yep. Executive producers, of course, Julie Gardner and Mel Young. And the music by Murray Gold.
Yay!
And featuring, of course, Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. And this new girl.
Britney Spears.
She looked like Britney. No. A very young.
She was kind of a Britney Spears-esque before she was in Doctor Who. That was her big thing. She was a
singer.
She was a teeny bopper singer.
Yeah, she was a pop princess over there. So,
yes, she was.
So yeah, that was kind of an interesting take. But man, I wonder if you'd said to Russell T. Davies in 2005 when they said like, "You're going to be working on Doctor Who 20 years from now too," and he'd be like, "What?
Wait a minute."
And we'd also be looking at Chris. You're only doing one season.
I'm sure Chris at this point already probably knew that.
I'm sure of it.
I think he knew before it ever aired.
Yeah, by episode 2, he was probably already like, "Yeah,
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
This is not for me." So,
but he was so wonderful in this. He was.
Oh my God, he was such a great Doctor.
There are times I mean, when it's done right, and we've seen it done right a lot. But there are, I think, really great casting choices made for the Doctor at the right time and place. And this was especially for the story that they wanted to tell with the Doctor. I must say, I don't think I've seen this one in quite some time. And I keep, it's a fun story. And I've always sort of paid attention to the Rose aspect of it because this is Rose's first foray into traveling into the future or time travel at all, for that matter. And it really freaks her out. And it's an understandable reaction, which we don't see terribly often. But I think it's handled pretty well here. But that's been the main focus, I think, of this one for me. But while watching it this time, I was really paying attention to the Doctor himself. And man, we learn a lot about him in this episode and what he's going through as well.
About the Time Lords.
About the Time Lords and just, the fact that he takes her here to this time period, I think is really like whether he does it consciously or subconsciously. It's like, hey, I want you to see what it looks like when your world's destroyed. Because
Misery loves company.
I think so. I think if you're going to travel with me, if I'm going to have someone travel with me, I can't, yes, it's good to have someone we can just joke around with. And they do joke around. They have great chemistry.
Right from the very beginning of this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But there's also that aspect of like, he's alone and he doesn't know how to ask for help.
No, he does not.
Maybe the TARDIS even brings him here on purpose because of this, to bring them closer together, because now they have this sort of thing in common where she can now understand what he's going through because now she's seen her own world be destroyed. But I think it's in a very similar fashion too.
It's interesting too, because he didn't really mention anything about his world being destroyed until the very end of the episode.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it takes him a long time to sort of get that, and granted, he doesn't open up to her first. You know, he opens
Not at
up
all.
to
No.
a tree.
To the tree. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the tree is more mature than Rose.
Yes.
I mean, the tree
Well,
has a little more
absolutely.
life experience than, I mean, this is actually nothing against Rose. It's just that the tree has more life experience than Rose.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Absolutely. And
And it's
and the tree calls him on it. It's not like he
well,
brings it up to her.
no,
The
because
tree does call her, like
she
says, yeah,
exactly because she took the reading of him,
yeah,
and she was like, "You're a Time Lord." You know, my machine would not believe it. I had to convince my machine of what you were, you know, because it wouldn't, you know, accept it because you guys are fables at this point. Because he was at the point at this time, he was the last one, and you know, as far as he knew, Gallifrey was destroyed, and you know, Time Lords are a thing of legend at this point. You know, kind of like, you know, the dodo type thing. So
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's so easy to get caught up in Cassandra in this episode. Cassandra is amazing, and
Moisturize me.
moisturize
yeah,
me, yeah.
yeah, it's so like Zoe Wanamaker, right, who does the
Yep.
voice and all that. She's and I think she must be providing the facial like imprint from them to use or something.
Oh,
Because
she
I
is.
mean, if you see Zoe, you kind of know she kind of looks like this, and I hope Russell T
She's that
brings her
flat,
back in
really?
some way
Yeah.
because she, you know, I feel like watching this, I was like, we got robbed. We only got to see her twice. I want to see her again. Like, I want to see her with like interact with all the doctors. I think she's great. She's a great foil. You know, you could keep killing her and she'll keep coming back for some reason. You know, that would be fine. You know, I mean, it's worked with other baddies as well, but at the last, I know we're skipping around here, but at the last, you know, the last moments of the
This is our
episode,
show. We always skip around. Come on.
Yeah.
at
I
the
mean,
last episode,
that's
you know,
appropriate.
she's dying and she's like, moisturize me, it's too hot. You're so concentrated on what she's going through that you kind of, at least for me, you kind of miss the fact that the doctor's on the other side going, everything has its time and everything dies. That's exactly what he says. And he looks as serious as we've ever seen him saying that. And he just, I mean, it's the first glimpse that we ever get of a dark doctor
Oh,
that
very
we'll
much
get
so.
much later.
Mhm.
But man, it's right here. And if I was Rose, I'd be like, you know what? Seeing the Earth get destroyed, that was pretty depressing. But seeing you get like that, now I really have misgivings about continuing with you.
Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
did see kind of a dark doctor with Sylvester's doctor a little bit in the old series.
Not like this.
No. Well, a little
I
bit.
mean,
'Cause,
well, kind of in the
Kind of.
Daleks. With
Yeah,
the Daleks
with-
at the end of
yeah. Because he destroyed Scarrow, you
Yes,
know, literally.
you're right.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, and he did, you know, a couple other things that were kind of like, that's not doctorish, you know, type thing.
Yeah,
But-
I'll grant you that.
But it's interesting. But no, I agree completely. This took a much, much darker turn in this storyline. And you saw how angry he got about different things. He didn't want to talk about the past. He was mean to Rose in quite a few different scenes in this one.
Yes.
And everything.
Yes, he
Or
was.
mocking and condescending.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, oh, it had to be you, of course, in there, you know, type
Yes.
thing. And exactly. And so it was just, he was, you know, kind of a jerk in parts, but he was not the heroic doctor, you know, that we were used to seeing in the old series. This is a whole brand new doctor for the 21st century that we were getting.
I mean, I like that about the new series, at least through, well, maybe through Capaldi's Doctor, it starts to change about it after that. But that they really explore the anger of the Doctor in a way. They started it with Sylvester, but he got kind of cut off before they really could explore it.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole new series, that's always been an undercurrent.
Yes.
Where they're exploring his feelings about the injustice of the world and his part in it, and the decisions he has to make, or he feels he has to make.
And he, you know, in the story, he didn't even say, you know, he said, my world was destroyed and my people are gone. But he didn't say anything that it was him that caused, you know, anything about the Time War.
No, we'll
about
find
the
that out over
Daleks.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
Just
find
like,
that,
just like, just like one of the characters mentions Bad Wolf in this episode.
yeah, very
Uh,
briefly. You had to
Yeah,
listen really
yeah, they
carefully.
really slipped it in.
yeah,
Yeah.
before he gets fried. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, and that's going to play out later. I think it's the first time Bad Wolf gets mentioned in the series.
It is.
But yeah, so and we're not meant to think of anything,
You didn't, you, the first,
Yeah,
when
there's
you were
no
watching
way.
it back in 20 years ago, you had no idea what a bad wolf was or how it was going to tie into it. And that was wonderful how he was subliminally, basically putting it in. And, there was a few different things. It was wonderful seeing the face of Boa for the first time.
Yes, the
And it was,
first time.
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, Captain Jack's here. Awesome. You know,
No, I'm still not buying that theory.
No, Mikey G hates that.
I do. Not a fan. Not a fan.
yeah, it was awesome. My one complaint about the story was, and it wasn't anything about the story itself or the actors or anything. The effects, you could tell it was 2005 special effects. There were a couple times with the spiders, I noticed when they were like crawling on the back wall, they kept the main character, they did a voice, but his lips weren't moving or he wasn't moving, so they could do the CGI
No,
behind
this.
and everything. It was just like, and then again, of course, it was BBC, so type
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Well, apparently they spent almost their entire effects budget on this one episode.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought the
Mhm.
effects held up really well.
uh,
Over like I thought,
oh,
granted it's CG and stuff like that, but the outside of the station,
oh,
the
the outside
destruction
of
of
the
the
station,
planet,
the sun, the planet
and
glowing up was wonderful.
even the little droid thing, spider droids, I thought they were pretty cool looking. I think for the most part, yeah, I mean, phew, this is only the second episode of the new series, and already it's like way better than anything in the classic
Yeah, it
series.
blows away the classic series
You
So
effects wise.
you do not
Yeah.
see any string or you do not see a zipper once in this.
Yeah. I mean, I thought for 2005 it wasn't bad at all.
No.
No, I think in particular, Cassandra looks amazing. I love the shot where Rose walks around her as well. I mean, that's just really, really good work.
I thought that was great. I loved the character of Cassandra, how she brought the artifacts of her planet, and I think they used to call this an iPod, that bringing the jukebox in and
Yeah.
then playing Tainted
Mhm.
Love was just awesome. It was classic.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, I guess we've got some music rights on this one to go through. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Apparently,
yeah,
and they got the streaming rights too because
yeah,
yeah,
they
exactly.
didn't
absolutely.
switch out the songs.
Nope,
Nope.
exactly. Soft cell is a lot cheaper, I'm sure, than the
And
Beatles
them,
were. Yeah,
or even
but
Britney, probably.
yeah.
But yeah,
So, but yeah, it was interesting, and I enjoyed it. The story moves very fast, and the 42-minute story flies like that. But so much is done in it too, and it was so packed with everything, and that's what I loved about it.
I just love Rose's journey here because she's kind of on an emotional roller coaster, especially for one so young. I mean, she is learning things at a pace that, most people aren't going to figure out until maybe their 30s or 40s. I mean, she's learning that and she grows up. It's established from the beginning that she grows up as a poor kid. She's not
Yes.
a privileged kid. She's raised by a single mother, and she's got some anger towards people in power, quite understandably.
Mm.
So, and she's learning that even people who are powerful are not omniscient. I mean, bad things can still happen to them. And nobody is, I mean, as much as she wants to pretend that the doctor is God, the doctor really isn't. I mean, there are things that even they can't do.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, it's very interesting. And Billie Piper does a really good job of that. She's so angry with the doctor for a lot of this episode, and rightfully so, because he is treating her badly and he is
Well,
not explaining himself. And we have these scenes where the earth is dying and she is just heartbroken, and the doctor is acting like they do not care at all.
Well,
And
exactly.
that's not true. And you find out that's not true but not until the very end.
Right.
Well,
Right.
exactly. And because literally he threw her right into the frying pan,
Mhm.
literally taking her, 5 billion years into her future, watching her planet be destroyed, surrounded by complete aliens and everything, and basically throwing her here, go, do, socialize,
Deal with it.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, at the beginning of the episode, he's like, "Where do you want to go?" And forward, and they forward, and he's like, he goes 100 years, and she's like, "You can do better than that." And then he goes like, 500 years or whatever, and she's like, "Yeah, you can do." And he says something about the new Roman Empire or something like that.
Yeah, because
And
that
then
was that was 10,000 years in the future, because that's actually from the Doctor Who comics, which is pretty a nice little nod right there.
cool. And then she's still like, and he's like, "All right." And then I mean, it's not like she deserves what's coming, but she does kind of like he does try to bring her in a little like a little bit and still not as heavy into it, right? But she's like, "No, I'm all in." And but she has no idea what that means.
Right.
And
Mhm.
he does. And so he takes her all the way to the end of the earth, which it seems like I don't know if he's been here before, but it feels like he kind of knows what's going on. Like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, he's pretty cruel about it.
Oh, very much so. I agree with that completely. It's interesting though, because you also had the first appearance of the psychic paper in this one
Mhm.
too.
Yes,
And so that was
that was
awesome.
fun.
And he
And the
also
phone and
yeah,
him changing the phone.
yeah, I
Hmm.
was gonna say, yeah, he also changes the phone with some what is that technical term that he uses? I can't remember. It's
Magic.
Jiggery pokery.
Jiggery
yeah,
pookery.
jiggery pokery. Yeah, yeah. It's so
Exactly.
technical. I can never get that straight. So
Exactly. And you should see the cell phone bill. No, for
yeah,
that.
you should see the bill. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny.
It was cute. And it was interesting too, because, we've had that with a lot of different companions since, because Rose had the phone, but then Martha had it. It was something in the RTD era that they did.
Yeah, it became a trope.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Well,
they
he
even
had much, yeah, with the RTD era, there's much closer ties to the
family
families
and
on Earth.
yeah,
Yeah, or
Mhm.
the people got what's going on Earth. But one thing I wanted to mention about Mary's point too, the scene that I really like in this, that is, one that you can forget easily with everything else that's going on, but it's really nice when you're in it, is the scene between Rose and the tech.
oh,
Oh,
that was awesome.
yes. That was a very sweet scene.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know,
Mhm.
like, oh, the tech's gonna die,
Oh,
Oh,
but
yeah, the
of
tech's a
course.
red shirt. It's really obvious.
yeah, but I mean, she at least, I mean, at least here she's acknowledging the character before the death, rather than just a red shirt that just dies, that nameless, and we
Right.
don't know, we don't understand.
Mhm.
But yeah, but that's a really nice scene, and I agree completely with Mary that Billy Piper, who I think is going on a similar journey as Rose, because she's signed on for this crazy thing that she doesn't know what's going on,
Yeah,
and
I think
she's out of
she's
her,
19 at this
yeah, she's
point.
out of
Yep.
her element, and I think she's about to learn a lot too, and I think there's a lot of similarities, but I do not want to. I want to make sure I emphasize that gives her a lot to pull from in her own real life, but I mean, the way that she sort of responds and reacts to, I think helps probably working with someone like uh I'm trying to blank now. Christopher, because Christopher's so good, as far as acting wise. I mean, when you're working alongside Christopher Eccleston, one thing we know about Christopher Eccleston is that that guy doesn't suffer fools, right? And
Mm-mm.
so if you're working alongside him, you better
Step
bring
up
your
your
A game.
game.
You bring your
Yeah.
Yeah,
A game, pretty much. Yes.
exactly.
Mhm.
So, I've never heard her say anything bad about him, about working with him. So I imagine that he was, hopefully understanding and helpful. But I do think that, yeah, she shows a lot of talent here, a lot of growth as an actress in only, her brief time acting. And I think we see that much later in the roles that she does after Doctor Who.
Hmm. Agreed. And that was
Absolutely.
very much so. And, I felt for Rose in this one. Yes, you could put that down on paper, folks. I, and I felt so, I really felt for her. And I felt, like when she, ran away from everything, it's like it was all overwhelming for her. And she had to, you know, put it all in place and everything. And that's one of the things you saw. And I keep on saying this, Rose during the Ninth Doctor's era was awesome. I think she was a great character, and you saw so much growth in her throughout this whole season. And I thought she was great, and I think that's what made the new series coming was so good. Was the chemistry with her and the Doctor was awesome. You
Mhm.
know, it was a whole different thing once Tennant came in. It was like she became they became the love bug type thing.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
the
a very
flirting is
different
here though
dynamic.
too. I think the flirting is here. I mean, she's
Not the same, nowhere near the same way. 'Cause
no, it's not the same. Because well, mainly because Eccleston
no, not
doesn't
at all.
really respond the same way. But I do feel like she mentions that even it's kind of a joke, but it's not that they're on a date, and the way we see in the sort of like previously on thing, but the way she sort of ditches Mickey for to go with the Doctor is
Well, I
just
can't
kind of like
Don't blame
blame
her
her
at
for
all.
no, no,
No,
no,
that.
no,
no, no,
no, no,
no.
no. I didn't blame her then, and boy, was she a smart cookie for like just like getting out of that situation even more
Very
so.
much so.
But it. I mean, it really does have the appearance, not just the appearance, but I mean, it's a kiss off. Like, bye. I'm
See a
going with this
sucker,
much mature
Right.
guy, much more mature guy who can
going
show
with
me
an
so
older
much.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's yeah. So I think it's there, but it does turn into something different, and it gets more. Obviously, it gets reciprocated when we get the 10th Doctor, but I think it's still there. I think Rose feels it anyway.
Well, it was interesting when God, I can't remember her name, the tree lady. Basically, when
Jabe, I think it's
Jabe,
Jabe.
Jabe.
Jabe, that's it. When Jabe was, asking the doctor, like, who is this your wife? And he was like, no, 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 no. Oh, is it your friend? And it's like, oh, no, no. And then she went, oh, is she your concubine? And it's like, no. And Rose was like, is she your prostitute? And she was like, what? I love
She's like,
that.
I'm right
Yeah,
here.
Excuse
exactly.
me.
Exactly. I'm standing right here, mister. You know, I love that. And there was just so many good scenes. I love when they were doing the introductions. I give you a cut of my grandfather, and gives a little, twig to the doctor,
Mhm.
and the doctor gives his air from his lungs,
Air from
and
his lungs.
Mhm.
and he breathes on her. And then I love the little blue guy that spits on,
Yeah, poor Rose. She was
poor
not having a good
Rose.
day.
She's just like, I don't know what the hell. This little blue thing on a chair just spat at me. So it was it was pretty awesome. And there was just so many good moments in this one. And I forgot how good this episode was. The one thing I was going to ask you guys about, though, when the doctor was in the turbines and Jade was holding the thing down and gladly sacrificed herself,
Oh my gladly, but
well, oh,
Bet she did.
she did.
she did it very willingly, and it's like to help save everybody, she was being heroic. But the doctor did the whole thing to slow everything down. Have we seen that before or since that the doctor was able to do that?
I don't think he did. I think it was just that was a visual trick. I don't think it was anything that
Oh,
he did.
okay.
I think I got you mean at the end when he sort of closes his eyes and then just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he was actually slowing anything down. I think he was just concentrating and going so he could go past the last fan there.
Right.
That's the thing. That's the impression I got. I didn't think he was using any special powers other than the fact that
Yeah,
he
because it
could
was,
calculate how when to go.
well, it was
Right.
like, I was like wondering, it's like, was he slowing time down or something to move through or something?
Yeah. I mean, you
As we've
might.
seen before, he goes through like he's always doing like 1,000 things in his head. So
Hmm.
sometimes he just needs to focus.
Yeah, I mean, my
So,
take on it was that he was just trying to calculate when to go.
right.
Yeah.
But I could see how you could take it another way. They weren't incredibly clear about what was
No,
happening
No.
exactly.
there. And they have done some things where they do take little liberties with the character, but then they never revisit it. That does
Exactly.
Yeah.
happen.
The scene itself is kind of basic and it doesn't require a lot of thought. If you put a lot of thought into it, it's like the doctor could have done any number of 100 things so that she didn't die, but the script says she dies. So they simply did it that way. But because there's a lot of things that, you're like, why didn't he do this? Or why couldn't he done that? Things that we've seen him do hundreds of times. It's just like, it doesn't make a lot of sense except for in a lot of RTD scripts don't do that. Do that. They don't make a lot of sense if you look at them and analyze them. But
Why
You
did
just
you get the
why
moment
did why
and
didn't he
the
not
emotional
take the
moment.
why didn't he not take the TARDIS and go on the other side there?
I mean, there's
yeah.
100, like I said, a
Yeah.
hundred things he could have done.
Yeah.
He could have slowed down the fans with his Sonic. Like he could have, uh, you know,
He could have
like
tied a
they didn't
cinder
need a
block to
person to
that
hold down
yeah.
the thing, right?
Yeah. He could have just got
Uh,
a cinder block and tied it to the thing.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
RTD only ever, and I don't mind this actually, but he only ever cares about the character moment. He
yes,
is not big on
The-
the plot
right.
moments.
He cares more about the character emotional moment than he
Right.
does the actual like,
I
and
mean,
that's okay. I don't mind that. Because it works. It worked for me because the actors sell it. I mean, when the Ninth Doctor comes back, he is pissed. I
Hmm.
mean,
mhm.
he just lost a friend, a close friend that
Hmm.
you only knew her for a little while, but um, it they weren't just pollinating. Like they made a connection, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
we saw that, and then we saw that taken away. And then the Ninth Doctor came back and he was the Dark Doctor. And so it got us there. And I thought those moments were really powerful. The actors sold them really well. So, you know, I could think of 100 different ways that they could have tried to make that scene a little bit more, like take away some of the plot holes in it, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, they could have brought back Adric and put him there or something. And but it would have made it more
That's
logical.
that's a spin-off series. The Doctor just goes throughout time putting Adric wherever he lost people.
Exactly. Just hold this for a little bit. Don't worry, son. It'll be okay. Well, if you say so, Doctor. Fizzle, fizzle, fizzle. Psst. He catches on fire, which would have been awesome. Yeah, Adric would become the Kenny of Doctor Who, basically.
Exactly. Oh no,
Wait,
they
no,
killed Adric.
they already had that. They had Rory to do that anyway later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we
really.
liked Rory.
Yeah, good point. Touche.
True.
Touche. So yeah, I thought this was really well done, and the acting and the character arc in this was great because you don't know anything. There's so much you're going to be learning throughout the season about what happened to the Doctor and why he became this way. And that's what was pretty awesome with it. So,
Not a good foreshadowing.
no.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. I mean, it stands on its own, but it also foreshadows a lot of great Doctor Who stuff to come.
Hmm. And it was awesome because at the end of the episode, of course, next on Doctor Who, and they showed the episode with Dickens, which was great, which was awesome. The Unquiet Dead was so much fun.
Another
Oh
good
yeah.
episode.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, most of the Ninth Doctor season was just awesome.
Yeah, it was a really good season.
Other than the
I
farting
mean,
aliens, it was
yeah,
pretty
those are
good.
the two that are questionable, but the rest of it's pretty good.
Yes. So, and I think we only have like one or two more Ninth Doctor stories. I think we're done with his season
I think you're
because
right.
I think we still only have Boomtown left. I think is one of the ones that we haven't done yet. So,
Uh, that is probably true.
and so yeah. But any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one? Okay, let's go ahead and rate this one. 1 out of 5 TARDISes. One being the worst, 5 being the best. Mr. Mike, I'll let you go first tonight.
I am going to give this one I want to give it like, you know what? I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. I'm not going to give it a 5. I can't give it a 5 because it's not one that that I think about a lot and revisit over and over again. So I have to take a couple points off of it, but it holds up really well. And it's a great Doctor story, which I didn't give it credit for. I must admit, like I said, I looked at it as basically a Rose Tyler episode. Um, but it's a Doctor episode as well. And the way that it comes together is something that I think is pretty subtle, which is not something I usually associate with RTD. um, and everybody is fantastic in it. And like I said, it introduces us to Cassandra, who I think is one of the great foils, the RTD foils that he comes up with. And I would love, like I said, I would love to see her back in some form at some point. And Jabe is a great character as well. And yeah, and it's got some other stuff going for it too. I think it's a really, really solid episode.
Awesome. Mary.
I'm also going to give it a 4.5. I can't quite give it a 5 because of there's some plot holes, but it's what I've seen this episode many times, but what I really noticed here on this watch was just the wonderful, lovely moments Rose has. I mean, actually when she's by herself, when she's
Mm.
trapped in the room where she's kind of falling apart, Billie Piper sells that so well. I mean, you really feel her anguish. I mean, she's a confused teenager at
Oh,
that point who has seen her world die and is feeling like she's not getting any support.
mm,
And it's a lovely character moment. And RTD, no matter I have my problems with RTD, but boy, did he give us some wonderful character moments. I mean, things you can really look back on and just feel the essence of Doctor Who in those performances.
mm.
And I would totally recommend this episode for people who are interested in watching Doctor Who.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
I would do this as an intro episode anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sets up a lot of what happens later. You
Mhm.
don't realize it at the time on your first watch, but it really sets up a whole lot, like the whole core of what this Doctor is about is kind
Very
of
much so.
set up here. And they do that really well.
You don't
It's
really see it in the first episode, but you see it a lot in this one, the PTSD doctor.
right, exactly.
And, you really see how angry he is and how damaged he is. And what you now like going, we know what caused it, but at the point we don't. We just know that now at the end of the episode, we find out that his planet's been destroyed and that he's the last of the Time Lords. But you don't hear or talk about that. And it's interesting because Judy was watching this one with me and she says, wow, look how primitive the TARDIS is, like the interior, how he was controlling it, having to do the pump and the spinning of the
Mhm.
wheel and everything, compared to what the doctor does now and everything. It was pretty amazing to even think about that. I'm going to go ahead and I will give it a 5. I really enjoyed this one. It was very watchable. I'm sorry I haven't watched this one in a long time because it is that good. And, I liked it so much. I watched it twice over the weekend. And it was because I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And, just to see. And it was great. like Mary said, there are plot holes, but Doctor Who has plot holes. That's the love of this.
RTD has plot holes.
Right.
Well, exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
and it doesn't detract.
No.
At least I don't think it detracts from the story.
Not at all. So yeah, definitely loved this one. And folks, we do highly recommend it. We all highly rated it, and everything. And we'll find out from Mel what she thought when she gets back and, when she has power again. So definitely, please, we'd love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. And if you made it this far into the episode, please like and subscribe, as we like to say, right underneath Mr. Gordon right there. So please like and subscribe, or 5 stars if you're listening to us. We do appreciate it. Also, thumbs up if you want. We would do also like that. Also, we do have a Facebook group, which we talk all about Doctor Who up there. News story, artwork, goofy stuff. You never know what I'm going to find and put up there. And other people are posting up there too. It's pretty awesome stuff. So definitely check out our Facebook group. And also Instagram. We're up there too. We're not on X anymore. We came down from there. We don't want to deal with that kind of crap. We don't want to deal with that kind of crap. So
talk about toxic.
Exactly. That's where Cassandra's.
Now I'm going to have that song in my head. Thanks for the earworm.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We'll be back again on a regular schedule of every 2 weeks until the Christmas special. And I think on our schedule, we actually have a live episode coming up in November or early December. So definitely check it out. We definitely would love doing our live shows and chatting with you guys. I will be at a Comic-Con in the next 2 weeks. I'll be at South Carolina Comic-Con Junior up in Greenville, South Carolina. ESO will have a table and, of course, Earth Station Who, and we'll have some postcards. We'll maybe have some Doctor Who swag. And I got a couple Doctor Who gifts I'm going to be giving out to some lucky person who comes up and says, I listened to the podcast. So pretty cool stuff. And so if you're interested, definitely stop by our table and say howdy. I know Mr. Mike Gordon is a maybe for that show. And so
just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We'll be keeping you up to date with that, of course. And you know what? We love seeing you guys. We love, when people come up, I love your podcast. I love what you talk. Or I can't believe you talked about that episode that way.
What's wrong with you people?
Exactly.
How dare you disgrace the name of Chris Chibnall that way?
I won't go that far.
A pox on you.
A pox on you. I am the biggest Chibnall fan. Hell, Chibnall might show up, to come beat us up or something,
I would have words with thee.
Taking his gloves off and
exactly. He'll slap us with it. I challenge you all to a duel. Wow, exactly. Now I have Bugs Bunny going through my head. I'm sorry. So awesome. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Thanks, everybody. We'll see ya. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Later, Gators.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.